How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the play-ins. Mark just wasn't ready for you, so me and Jake Spawn Tiberi are going to be bringing you the next game. Thanks to Rec9 on Twitter as well for making sure that I actually let you know who my co-caster is. It wouldn't be a documentary of All Over and Down Under if they didn't know who you were.
You just do it at the end. It's the credits. That's how documentaries work. You put it in the credits.
This is true. You got it. You know who the star is anyways, but we do and have had a glimpse of what EDG has done today. They are going to be going up against Dire Wolves, who have their work cut out for them. But I got to say, Dire Wolves, they don't have to guess about what's coming at them this time. They know the train is coming down the tracks.
Yeah, and I think the scariest thing for the Dire Wolves was they said that the aim of today is to just out-micro their opponents, you know, get them into one-on-one situations, get them into team fights, and be able to take advantage of their superior skill.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think that's the case with EDG at all, Riv. I think that, you know, Triple going up against Scout is really going to be tested. Scout looked on point today in his first matchup on that LeBlanc. And I think Meiko right there behind him with some very clean play coming through on that Tahm Kench. In fact, he was about 400 damage away from the highest damage dealer on the opponent lineup. So this is a team that you certainly need to have a little bit more than micro play to beat.
This is good. Smiles. We're already seeing smiles. We see these guys having fun. UDYSOF with his first match series victory in a tournament where he can say, hey, there's a big W. So they are super confident. I think that's really going to work for them.
And the job's done. So this game, they'll play free. You know, game number one was the pressure game because that was the tiebreaker game if Shern comes back and everything goes the way they thought it. But being able to get a victory for your two rookies in BioPanther, in UDYSOF, in their first game, and being able to have your stars in, you know, Cupcake, Triple, King play well, this is exactly what this lineup wanted. When they made the change of Chippies out, BioPanther in, they wanted some stability around their team fights. They wanted to not have to be a win lane, win game team. And I think that that was a good first showing of seeing them slow the pace of the game down and come back through team fighting.
And I think that's interesting that you get that out of BioPanther, a rookie, to say, hey, yeah, he can be a rock in the top lane and we can do versatile things across the map. Usually you have to give the rookie a few more resources in that first year.
Yeah, and I mean, he's been a brick in the top lane all split long in the OPL. He plays pretty much exclusively Mundo, Cho'Gath, Ornn. He's just able to rotate to team fights. He will sack his wave if he has to. And then in a pinch, can play things like the Camille and the Gangplank and give you a little bit more threat. So it's not like you can ignore him. On the flip side, EDG maintaining their roster with Clearlove on your screen certainly had a good first game performance. And I think they would be treating this game in the exact same way. You know, get vision of the opponents, make sure you're in isolated matchups, and then just show that you're better players. Take the fight to the Wolfpack.
I mean, I think just showing that they were better players, it didn't show that they were always better in their region, but they were a team that said, we don't need to flex to a meta. We don't need to bruiser this. We don't need to bruiser that in the bot lane. We're EDG. We're going to play this way. And I think that's what a lot of teams almost have to be afraid about from them, is they do what they want, and you have to react accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about a lot last game as Supermassive imposing the way they wanted to play the game on Ascension. Well, EDG certainly imposed the way they wanted to play the game in Infinity. They're in their face in every lane apart from top lane, and I think Ray has given them that stability. You know, from Cloud9, people would remember Ray's very aggressive play in the LPL. He was famous for his full 80 Jarvan as well, but I think since the regional qualifier, when he has been picking up the tanks, he's been the rock they need, and it allows the rest of the team to play with an element of freedom around their winning lanes.
Ray having the second most unique champions played at that top lane. It's what more do you want when you just have to be like, what can we do here? Be like, oh, I'll play something super random. It makes you so strong. And if they don't really have to show much in the play-in as well, a team expected to move on, they're going to come out of play-ins very, very strong.
Yeah, they certainly are. And I mean, this is where the journey starts for EDG. We've already talked about it a lot, but they've had some disastrous international events. You know, at the fun stops at MSI when they were able to pick up that legendary victory against Faker's LeBlanc. The rest of the history at international events has just been poor form after poor form. So they really want to fight their way back, show that they are that proud, historic team that comes out of the LPL.
They have the chance here as World starts again in 2018. Top teams from around the world. I'm about to throw it all onto the Rift, and we're only into day 2. It's absolutely amazing. First phase of bans locked in for all 6. We see some support focus as well as that always on the ban list Aatrox.
Which is really interesting. I mean, I feel like right now this has to be nearly a first pick Tahm Kench for Cupcake because Otherwise, if you take anything aggressive, you know, if you take something like the Alistar, you know that Meiko is just going to be able to pull that one out. They instead go with the Braum, but I mean, Riv, that is just now a strange pick ban phase to me a little bit.
Something like, because you have to realize what you're giving up.
Yeah.
And that you just, well, if they don't take the Tahm Kench, they obviously say we feel fine against fighting it.
Yep.
But it does become very interesting to know that Direwolves needs aggressive lanes. Maybe they're hoping to as well get Lucian in this lock-in for the first 1-2, and they know they can go hard. The Tahm Kench may not give Cupcake as much.
And I mean, that's the one thing I will say about King is he's happy to pick up counter picks like Vayne into Ezreal. He will play Lucian in certain lanes.
I like
but
that.
At the same time, he also has played things like Mordekaiser down in the bottom lane. He said at the start of the year that he wants to stop getting in situations where he feels like he's getting champion pool pitched. He wants to be able to play the Ocean. And I mean, this shows it right now. Like, he picks his aggressive lane, and they're going to look to go to work again.
All right, King and Cupcake. See if they can put the icing on this bot lane. Coming around the second time. 1-1 for both of these teams. So somebody, as you know, is coming out with a loss. As we get the final pick in here for Edward Gaming. What will it be? It looks like maybe a top lane. They had time to hover. Darius? That was basically an insta-lock.
Yeah, it certainly was. And it is one of the counter picks that has been known for the Ornn. Not to mention, he also got buffed on this patch. So just a little bit more oomph coming out of Darius in the top lane. Certainly a pick that does seem to suit Ray. And I think EDG might have watched that interview. I think they might have heard that the micro outplay is going to be there. And the game plan that was the most successful against Direwolves, and they were undefeated for the whole year, so take this with a grain of salt, but the most successful game plan
20-4 in games, 10-0,
was to attack BioPanther. And in the games where they were able to make that work, he did fall behind because he does have a very telegraphed champion pool. So I like this from Ray. Pick up something aggressive on the top side of the map. Maybe Clearlove gets something like a Xin Zhao, and they can really just put the camp on the rookie in the top lane.
At least we don't have BioPanther coming in, taunting world champions, saying, oh, mid top lane? Who's that in top lane? As we had previously with Impact and other players. So we'll see that Darius Ornn matchup as we get second phase of bans in. Nocturne Olaf hits UDYSOF hard in the jungle with a Yasuo Aurelia for Scout in the mid lane.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe trying to force Scout back towards something like the LeBlanc. Don't think he's going to be really all that pressured to go for it, however. And now, really, the ball is in Triple's court because he's going to be forced to blind pick something here. And Scout's just going to have the Ocean to be able to counter pick.
Cheers from the crowd as the Lee Sin is hovered, but they'll get the sting on the Rift this time. Skarner's locked in for Clearlove. He had a Nocturne first game, actually. Kind of wondering why he started. Haro kind of fills the champion pool gaps, but Clearlove feeling comfortable in his set so far.
Second game in a row where Clearlove's on like a farm to 6 champion as well, and then just impact after your lanes really already have their advantage. So I think that, you know, whether it's the Skarner, which is going to have a little bit more of that utility for the team fight, or whether it is something like the Nocturne that's looking to attack side lanes and get itself busy in the early game, it really has been a similar note for Clearlove of just stay safe and protect the carries and allow them to go to work.
Gragas made it all the way down here. But it might be Trundle in the jungle saying we're going to put the pillar up to stop the aggression, stop the initiations from this team. And man, do they have Bass Brothers, Alistar, Skarner, Darius, and even going to be quite a tanky Ryze coming into that fight with Kais on the backside. Ornn, Trundle, you have the Braum, so 3 tanks per side with a bit of damage coming from those other lanes. It's going to be an awesome matchup here. Like we said, 1-0. For both teams, and Direwolves have their work cut out for them against Edward Gaming.
But I do like the composition that Direwolves have been able to put together. They have a very good front-to-back composition. There isn't really a true tank on the lineup. You know, Skarner's going to get tanky, but probably going to go towards things like the Righteous Glory, like the Knight's Vow. Darius, a little bit more damage heavy, whereas BioPanther, UDYSOF, they're just going to be 2 bricks to really deal with at the front line. So if they're able to navigate these team fights, there could be windows for Direwolves to be able to come online, but you have to be able to weather the storm, which is the early game. You have to be able to get BioPanther through this laning phase, and if Lucian Braum falls behind, they do become a little bit irrelevant, and we saw Meiko and iBoy be able to get a big 2v2 advantage in game number 1.
That Lucian is up there for King. This will be 6 plays across the season, a 5th for him on, or 5 before this, obviously, but throughout the regular season. Felt pretty good on it. It was up there with his top played. So definitely a champion he knows how to put down the damage on. Does he know how to do it, however, against iBoy and Meiko? Two players that can basically read you before you're into game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that this really does come down to how good of a player Meiko is. You know, big cerebral support player, shot caller for his team, likes to be able to share that responsibility with Clearlove, but has been able to bring iBoy into the system that he likes to be able to play under and really instill that confidence to go for those laning phase kills.
And we continue Direwolves versus EDG on the Rift. And we will have to see who can get first blood drawn, first turret drawn. Kind of feel with these compositions, we'll get that first blood before the turret, as teams will be in each other's face. UDYSOF quite aggressive in his play style, but will he be able to get into the face of his opponent now? I believe on Jin Zhao first game, now to Trundle.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that that was one of the areas that they did fall behind in. Remember, they did have a 2,000 gold deficit in their game against Infinity, whereas EDG just had thousands of golds of lead. So I think that they can't afford the early game to go as poorly. If Direwolves want to have a fighting chance in this one, they need to batten down the hatches. They have picked a much different composition on that top side of the map. No aggression coming out of UDYSOF in the jungle. He's just going to look to clear and play safe. And really, that is the name of the game. Allow Triple, allow King to get themselves advantages in the bully lanes, and the rest of them just be there for the team fights for those mid-game skirmishes.
Yep. Players prepping themselves. Blast cones used, so no trickery here in the early game. And a few wards get placed out.
And what I want to see from EDG is actually a little bit of respect here. You know, the ability to play out a standard early game, attack BioPanther on the top side, because that's what your lane is designed to do, and then be able to just get Meiko and iBoy, that team fighting bottom lane, into the area where they've got that 1.5, 2 item spikes and be able to play around it. I think that in game number 1, they showed that they're great individual players, and that's fantastic, but you would like to see some respect come out and, you know, a little bit more of that standard play. Of course, if they've given opportunities to take the solo kills, you still want to see them go for it, Riv, but you want to see them attack the right side of the map, so they can play through this top lane.
Already getting forced back. Ray may just say, stay out of here. We don't even need it.
I mean, that's the other way you do it, right, is you just isolate it. You're there for the counter gate. You give Ray enough of that sight to be able to play the lane, and then you can just back away. But it doesn't look like that's the way it's going to go, maybe.
No, it's kind of beautiful hovering as well. We see UDYSOF on the bottom, but Clearlove's here. Get Scuttle, make sure that push-up by Ray is covered. And they're kind of where they need to be on the map. Good damage here from Triple, focusing minions and that damage onto Scout as he seems to be standing a bit too close to the minion wave.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of a joke in the OPL about Ryze players that get forced back before tier and how bad it feels. As UDYSOF goes over the wall, that's not a good thing. Potentially it is, actually.
Ooh, bring around the Rosie. Nice pillar. There's a rotation out from Triple. Scout's going to be on the top side yet. Would have an easy room prison to stop the gank overall, so they deny it. A few more shots. Concussive blows. Gets that Winter's Bite onto iBoy, and they are using the Braum Lucian. Good to see from Direwolves that it wasn't just picked to go into the lane.
Oh, absolutely, and this is the Direwolves' comfort, you know, bully mid lane, a bully bottom lane, rest of the map pretty standard. Even when they play with Shern, this is a comp that they would be very familiar with, and Shern just facilitating the play of Triple and King. So I like the fact that, you know, they haven't changed everything with the introduction of UDYSOF. A little bit of Fog of War troll there. I actually thought Clearlove was in the brush, but he was on his fire. So not all that much bad things coming from it, and a fairly standard early game. Clearlove just looking to farm to 6, and Direwolves showing that, you know, on the 1-to-1 level, on the out skill, they are there.
Kind of expected a little, as we said, Clearlove on those hit 6 champions, and it's nice that UDYSOF didn't decide to go on an adventure into the jungle there after a little bit of aggression to follow through. Scout low on mana as he chugs down his last few potions here as picks up a wave under the turret. 24 to 26, no real discrepancy here on the bot side as wards begin to go down. Supports are expecting a little jungle love soon.
And I think this is a lane that could snowball heavily either way. You know, if Lucian Braum grabs himself a kill, if they're able to get that advantage, we already saw it last game out of Zeitnot, they just become those mid-game powerhouses. But you can never underestimate how aggressive Meiko is willing to play the engaged supports. And if he gets even an inch, he's willing to really take over the game. I think this is going to probably be the first breaking point, because now that Scout has weathered that early game, you know, gone back, got himself the double mana crystals because it couldn't afford a tier, there's not really going to be all that much action maybe around the mid lane. So maybe look for Clearlove to get involved down bot.
He uses first dematerializer as well to get that down. Quick Scryer's bloom up so it can't be used on them. And they'll get a nice vision ward deep in so they can start getting a little bit more information on how they can play towards top or bottom once they get eyes on UDYSOF. Very slow play by Meiko and iBoy. They're saying, you want to step forward? Make it happen.
But this has been nice so far from the Direwolves. You know, the ability to just hold their own in the lanes, even in the top lane of BioPanther, not falling behind. You know, 31 CS to 32 right now. Really does bode well, because I think that their team fight is actually quite good in this game. Want to go back to it. They have the super tank top lane. There's a gank.
Ray very low as he gets damaged there. Looks like UDYSOF pillar was already used as they get an elongated chase. Everybody's out. Predators used, and no summoners. Yes, BioPanther actually blew flash to get into range for that.
And once again, that didn't necessarily look like Bio had to burn the flash there, but the willingness to preemptively flash so you don't fall down, to just hold the lane, because once again, if Darius gets anything in this lane, it's absolutely game over. So something that we've criticized the Direwolves at international tournaments is actually holding summoner spells. We saw UDYSOF in game number 1 burn his flash preemptively. BioPanther this game willing to do the same thing.
See if it plays into the rinse and repeat. Little headbutt there. Bellows breath as he gets pulled in. Should be quick clear now. Tiamat up for UDYSOF. He'll be able to make more presence in lane as he flies around the jungle, but he did not clear that ward, so they know he's on the bot side. Looks like Ray will start to get a little rotation out here. I like what they're doing. Denying Scryers, denying the honey fruit as well. Just the little things. Makes it annoying for a jungler expecting those resources.
Yeah, absolutely. But right now, UDYSOF is in a situation where with the Tiamat, he's just going to put the jungle on hard farm. He's going to start trying to build up, you know, the supportive items, the things like the Zeeks that's just going to make King have a little bit more extra punch in these team fights. And I think that, you know, a 200 gold lead, when you're looking for the skirmishes at the Blade of the Ruined King mark, at the Luden's Echo mark, with the Trundle ultimate, you know, potentially around that level 11, you just got to be happy as a Direwolf fan. This is going better than you would have ever expected it. And sure, EDG's composition isn't online right now. They're playing absolutely fine as well, but the fact that you haven't collapsed by this stage of the game with a substitute means that they can start looking forward to Shern's return and saying, you know what, this is a group. This might be doable.
Absolutely. Loving the fact that Clearlove's not on the Gragas, not on something that'll be behind that bottom turret with 3 members in the Alistar diving. So a little safety in that early game.
And finally, we see EDG make the first move. You know, they force BioPanther back. He didn't have the flash available. They rotate members up there, and Ray is able to capitalize. He's going to get so much damage down on that turret. Good engage.
No unleashed power. Knew the shield was coming up off of that passive for Scout. Now, good job for Triple to actually get some damage down that they pushed out BioPanther, but there's a fight across the map. Now down into the bot lane as King takes quite a bit of damage. He's marked, but that falls off. iBoy won't be able to follow up with too much, and worse for the wear on the side of Direwolves. Yeah,
it is, but they do have the sustain advantage. You can see, you know, potions sitting there. Meiko has a couple of biscuits, but it's going to be the 80 carry. Refillable potion plus the Vampiric Scepter means that if King ever gets access to this wave, he's going to top himself off. And that's just another one of those little battles that has been a stalemate, and it's as much pushing EDG back, you know, not allowing them to get the advantages that they were able to generate against Infinity and keep this game early, even. That is, you know, landing itself towards the hopefulness.
Seeing how close this continues to be, I'm getting on that, like, hype train of look at how this lane is being played from Cupcake and King against iBoy and Meiko. Like, definitely holding it. Obviously, the game can change in a moment when you're playing against EDG. They send a few bot, then they get Dragon, bot turret goes down, and everything's kind of going haywire. But Direwolves is not allowing that window to happen, playing safe, but also trading very well here for King and Cupcake.
Yeah, and I would say King and Cupcake being even is kind of a good thing for EDG, just because Kai'Sa's laning phase isn't great. So, you know, you've got to give props to iBoy and Meiko coming out ahead in that lane. The lane that is good for the Direwolves is the fact that this Syndra has got herself a big creep score advantage. And if able to get towards those boots too before Scout has something like the Merc Treads or any form of magic resist, can start looking for those solo kills. When Scout can pull Triple into a side lane, and really start exploiting Ryze's ability to clear wave and rotate first to team fight, the lane's going to be in his favor. But whilst it is a short lane with short burst trades in the mid lane, this is really where Triple can look to extend this lead.
Looked at Clearlove or UDYSOF too recently. Get a little love to Clearwar. It's a nice guy, UDYSOF. Helping out Triple with some gold, but it is a level 6 for Clearlove now. Activate on the mid lane with Flash could definitely be a possibility. As Ray gets a little hyphy here, he goes for the dive and starts to clear minions behind the turret.
You know what, Riv? Sometimes it's just about sending a message. Sometimes you just want to say, I'm going to hit you.
So unnecessary.
Because I can. There's no other reason I'm going to go for this trade. I'm just, you know, showing you that this is what I can do at this stage of the game.
I actually pinged question mark twice.
Here we go in the bottom lane.
1 hit, 2 hit. I'm sure UDYSOF would love to get a subjugate down onto Meiko as they head into the fist fight. There he goes, turns it on. Can they get the chomp and the bite? A great pillar coming in, but Clearlove comes in at a great time. As they see Triple just on the wing, they turn away from the fight and EDG stays safe. Great job by Direwolf.
But they got 3 summoner spells out, and that was a really nice pillar from UDYSOF. Knew the flash was available, so held it. They're going to force him off the turret. This could potentially be first brick coming down. However, meanwhile in top lane, you can see Scout rotating up there as well. BioPanther in trouble.
Horn's called out. Who's going to get the first turret? I go, ooh, nicely done. Apprehended, so they can't get the Horn knocked back. And now it's going to be a lot of tanking from Ray. It doesn't look like he's going to make it out of this one. Good, yes, he gets the kill in and the heal as well. Triple just short, Realm Warp out. And nothing came from the bot side, but a kill on BioPanther in the top for EDG.
And that's just clean play. We said that as soon as Scout can push and leave, that the lane is going to be in his advantage. Does so right there. Triple caught napping, does not rotate to the play. They get the first blood on the mid laner, but more importantly, Ray now with control of this lane.
Let's see how it happens again here.
And this is what we're talking about. You know, Triple is just sitting in a neutral lane right now, and Scout's already just booked it. Great apprehend to stop the Ornn, as you called. And then they just turret aggro juggle to perfection, Riv. And just a Realm Warp to cap it all off. Like, everything really used there as it needs to be.
There's one of those openings we said EDG would be able to attack even if it felt like they were slightly on the back heel. 12 minutes coming up on the clock is a lot of vision starting to go around the map. We're actually seeing both Equinox and Meiko's finished up, or I should say Ward's finished. And Meiko now returns to lane. He'll have iBoy back in a second. 118 to 113. It's still pretty even down there for fighting that we have got.
Certainly is, and now all of a sudden you have to start thinking, can they blow open this bottom lane? Can they start rotating Cupcake and King around? Because there's no summoner spells on Meiko. There is a Trundle, there is a Syndra in the wings, and you can see exactly what the game plan is right now.
And EDG is able to move the map now. Where do they decide to put themselves? I'm sure there's going to be a big focus from King and Cupcake to keep this here. And they are just saying, iBoy and Meiko, you cannot stay. But what are they losing for that? A bit of mid pressure, a bit of that jungle pressure, just to try and get iBoy and Meiko off the turret.
Yeah, exactly right. And you know, the game of League of Legends is a game of push and pull.
Right.
They've got a very aggressive top laner in the Darius. He's doing the right thing. He's winning out on it as they look for a trade down in the bottom lane. So BioPanther, you got to leave that turret. They get first brick on the side of EDG. They get themselves the Rift Herald, but at the same time, the Direwolves do the right thing. They take the pull on the other side of the map. They rotate 4 members to that bottom lane turret. They're going to grab themselves a dragon. EDG certainly coming out ahead in that situation, but the ability to trade, the ability to keep a full head, certainly there for both of these teams.
Ooh, trade back and forth. Looks like Scout was just out of the turret range, gets himself to safety, and actually is going to have to flash in the end from that. Bit off a little more than he could chew.
Yeah, certainly did. I mean, getting stunned up underneath the turret, a little bit of a whoopsie there from Scout. I'm sure if he had his time again, probably wouldn't go for that one. However, now Clearlove looking for the gank.
Flash and hit. Ooh, flash for flash. He says, I was just waiting. Does the butt turn, too. Gets in that little extra range, so Scout can pick up kill number 2.
And who says that Skarner isn't a mechanically intense champion, Riv? Right there, flashes, hits him with a point-click CC. Able to get the little wiggle in as well, dropping the Rift Herald. This is going to be another turret taken down, and we said that this is the stage of the game that we thought the Direwolves have the advantage, while EDG just turn it on in a flick and looking to exploit the inexperience of the Wolfpack.
Ray pulling 2 away from mid-turret. They don't have much to protect it anyways, but pulled in every which way is Direwolves by EDG's map movement right now. And at 15 minutes, EDG backs very happy with about a 2,000 gold lead.
And you can see that what the Direwolves wanted to do is they wanted to pick on Meiko. They wanted to be able to pick on this flashless Alistar that couldn't play up in the lane. But really, props to Ray to just generate pressure on the opposite side of the map. Now got himself a 30 CS lead, rotating first to all of these plays. And this Darius in the side lane, now that he's got himself that Black Cleaver, he's probably going to go towards him. Something like Asterix to keep himself safe in the team fights as well. Going to start putting on so much pressure towards BioPanther. Interested to see whether the rookie cracks in this 1v1.
Ray wanted, whoever wanted the pick, that was the third pick on red side for them, and they locked that Darius in. There was kind of no hesitation. Ray knew exactly what game he was going to be playing this time around against Direwolves BioPanther.
And sometimes in group stage of Worlds, it's about showing that you can play multiple styles. Because people would have watched the Gauntlet and said, EDG must play tank top lane. Otherwise, they're not able to generate any form of consistency. They can't get the team fights they're looking for. So now Ray says, okay, this is a game where we can bust that myth, where we can say, you know what, with Clearlove on the lineup and Meiko on engage, we can still generate team fights, and I can play a split pushing threat. And now all of a sudden, heading into a best of 5, you can't blind pick the Mundo, blind pick the Ornn, because Ray has got something in the wheelhouse that will punish you for taking those greedy picks early.
It gives EDG so much versatility around the map. Kind of crazy, because even if you are able to say, oh, okay, so he's on not that good of a champion, everybody else is going to do something fantastic, or they're just going to be able to give Ray what he needs still in that top lane. Direwolves trying their damnedest here to get something back in their favor. Just kind of an edge over EDG to say, hey, our wards are forward, we can work with that snowball.
And the thing about EDG is we said we wanted to see them play respectfully. This has been a very respectful game so far. They've won the side of the map they should win. They've taken all the objectives. They gave up the objectives on the bottom side of Summoner's Rift when they had to. This is honestly like just, you know, picturesque. They're not treating Direwolves like a poor opponent. Direwolves already picked up their win against Infinity, and EDG are just playing this one out as they should. As Kai'Sa gets towards the 2-item mark, I'm sure they're going to start speeding up the tempo and start trying to accelerate in the team fights. But for now, they're just happy to play around this power pick of the Darius and continue to pick on BioPanther.
Down towards the bottom of the map. We'll have Ocean Drake up next, so it may not have too much of control over what happens here, but it would kind of just be the boon of the fight. Ray and BioPanther going tit for tat as UDYSOF is there, but he knows Clearlove is here. The map's a little too dark right now, and you have to consider Clearlove is ready to act on any of these ganks, mid or bot.
And it's not only that, with the ability of Scout to now be able to push out that wave because there is no turret for Triple to fall back to, they always have the ability to generate the 3v2. So even with UDYSOF down there, they have to back away from the turret. That means all of a sudden Lucian Braum needs to go help get priority of the mid lane wave so they can float some pressure down towards the bottom. It's going to just result in another turret, and Direwolves maybe starting to panic, might look to just throw the old Ram at them, hit them with the Hail Mary of the Ornn ulti and see what you can get.
Looks like it is going to be one turret. How far do they go? Bot's actually pushed off just a tad. They don't have too much pressure. But they also, as I said before, don't have that vision to go forward. No shoulder wards on the left and the right make it a little scary. And Ray will say, oh, you got global gold. I'll get some solo and global gold.
Exactly right. And that's once again just really respectful. EDG say, all right, they've bought 5 members here. They're losing out on farm on the opposite sides of Summoner's Rift. We're going to do the right thing. We're just going to back off. We're not in any rush for this game to end right now. And that is a 2,000 gold lead right now on a Darius in the 1v1. He's going to whoop BioPanther's butt if they ever fight each other.
Jeez, probably take his mallet and start hitting him with it anyway. Just dual wield at that point for Ray. It is going to be a tough game. And you have Scout in the top lane now anyway, so Ray's going to take his position down on the bot side, and you're going to start pulling Direwolves apart at the seams.
And this is where you don't want to be as the Direwolves. You've got a composition that wants 10 members on the same screen. You know, got the Trundle ult to try and burn through one of the tanks, and then you can win with that Lucian Braum, the heavy skirmish focus. However, the 1-3-1 comp of EDG right now just has so much control. You're not going to be able to force onto a Skarner, onto an Alistar. Scout very comfortable in the side lane with teleport, with that Wellmore. And we've already said that no one can really go toe-to-toe with Ray right now. So EDG just slowing the pace of the game down, sucking all the momentum out of the Direwolves. They would have felt good going into this game. When you're even at, you know, 10 minutes, that feels good. Now when they start dragging you all over the map, that starts to feel a little bit crappy if you're a Direwolves player. And, you know, they're just continuing to stick to the game plan.
Scout playing it safe as he warps away. And it looks like they, on the side of EDG, have been able to, so far, not a big sample size, but stave off what has plagued them in previous international events.
Have you ever seen
find anything?
An LPL team play this discipline rift?
No.
What are they doing?
No.
LPL versus OC, these are two of the bloodiest regions in the world. They normally just run at each other.
They're scratching right now. Little tickles. Definitely doesn't look as aggressive, because like I said, whoever expected King and Cupcake to be having a 2 or 3v2 dive in that bot lane over and over. But with Clearlove playing level 6 Skarner, you didn't have too much from UDYSOF. Everybody was like, all right, gentleman's agreement, sounds good, we'll farm it out.
Yeah, these teams average, 16, 14 kills a game each. Throw in the 10 to 12 deaths as well at the same time. You're expecting 20-odd kills to come through in a game at a minimum.
Whoa, there's some blood in the water as iBoy goes down. He was even able to get Summoner heal off as Direwolves bite down. That's a kill going over to Triple, as he is now 1-1. But how often can they do that? I think EDG finally fell into their moment of, we're a little relaxed.
Well, this is what Cloud9 was doing. What I was trying to explain about Cloud9's split push as well is until the wave hits the turret, Triple doesn't have to answer it. So until that's the stage, you can't fight for mid lane priority. So when both of the side lanes are pushed up, you can nearly guarantee that, BioPanther's going to be trying to catch one, Triple's going to catch the other, because otherwise you just get starved out of gold. But until that is the case, they can just sit in brushes. They can control vision. They have the stronger 5v5. And unfortunately there for iBoy, he just didn't respect the gank brush.
Yeah, sometimes you face check, you think your safety's there. Not so much.
Well, sometimes you're just like, why the heck are they there? Like, this doesn't happen in our region.
That's so true.
But the best kind of offense sometimes is just a wacky brush gank.
The bushwhack. Very common from down under. You gotta watch out, right?
It certainly is. I mean, we talk about,
drop koalas. And
there's some crazy things down there. So many lethal animals. But at the same time, I mean,
direwolves.
We can talk about it, but this is kind of how the game deteriorates. And one more time, they're going to look to attack Ray in the side lane.
He definitely has a long run out of this one. It's going to be the teleport coming in. Scout's going to be there for a little bit of fun as they're going to bring 3 and 4 up. It's on the right side.
This is going to be a fight.
Clearlove's going to be first. Doesn't have anybody to get the stinger on. Is a lot of flashes over the wall from Direwolves trying to stay safe. They meet King. King tries to get himself to safety. The apprehended in the blue buff. Oh, it's a huge knockup coming in from the Ornn and Glacial Fissure. And it is an absolute wash as EDG starts to take down the rest of Direwolves. UDYSOF falls, and BioPanther and Cupcake head for the hills.
And finally, both teams say, this is boring, we just want to fight each other, and they go for it, and EDG show their class, pick up the kills, and now turn their attention to Baron.
You wondered when EDG would pull the trigger, the entirety of the team of their region. Number 1 and 2 at kills and assists at 15, exception Clearlove. Where have these kills been?
I mean, I think we saw it. I think that the Direwolves finally got frustrated and said, we have to attack one of these side lanes. We need to bring numbers. It was onto Ray, who right now is the highest gold member, and just so many key cooldowns already used. Trundle ultimate, double flashes, King caught in no man's land, tries to flash over, and Ray is just there first. I mean, everything else kind of went good for the Direwolves. The knockups were there, the front to back team fight, a little bit wishy-washy, but without a damage threat and a 2-threat comp, you got nothing. And EDG just run the train over the top of them.
Holy moly, what a fight. Getting the crowd ready for more of that, as EDG fans are excited that they were able to pull that fight off finally. Just about 22 or so minutes before these teams really went punch for punch, and we see what happens here as Ray has been having a fantastic game.
And I think that's a little bit of the inexperience, right? 20 minutes into the game, attacking the top side when you don't have a teleport there and they're going to be able to collapse under play before you, not enough mid lane priority. That's just the Direwolves saying, we need to make something happen. But in reality, I don't think that was the case. I think they should have just continued to catch side waves around the 25, 26 minute mark when, BioPanther's a little bit tankier, draw them towards Baron, play the team fight game that way. The forces, when EDG just has so much presence on the map, was always going to be tough, and EDG just punishes that inexperience out of the Direwolves.
I love EDG's side of the map is just dark. They're like, everything forward. We will now even take Skarner Shrines. It becomes so much harder for Direwolves here. You're losing all of your resources, and defending becomes that much harder as you cannot even own your own paths on your side of the jungle.
Yeah, exactly right. You make him rotate the long way. You see King is trying to exert some pressure because no one right now can go towards Scout. No one is going toe-to-toe with this man in the bottom lane. So they're out of good options. They need to group up. Now is the time they probably need the desperation team fight.
Just having somebody stand in front of you and take your turret down definitely plays on the mentality. Direwolves are being pushed to the limits here in their second game at Worlds. They knew they were coming in against the beast of EDG. Also a victory in their first game.
And BioPanther tries, right? He walks towards mid lane. He says, can we start a fight somewhere? But the push and pull effect's right there again.
Yep.
iBoy, Meiko back away. They're giving them nothing. They break the base. They're going to take down the last outer ring. This was an even game about 4 minutes ago. Now an 8,000 gold lead.
Yeah.
And EDG just inching the way towards the items they need. You know, Banshee's Veil, Death Cap, GA for Ray, and once these are picked up, even though you have superior items without the superior team comp, without the gold, you just can't go toe-to-toe with them.
We saw what it was like with the catch potential. Triple got a kill, and EDG said, wait, let's not face check anymore. Simple mistakes easily cleaned up by EDG. I think that's one thing that also makes them a strong team is that, well, we can adapt to that right away. This will be Mountain Drake, and it'll be 2 Drakes on the game, both to EDG as they make their way. Sorry, 3 Drakes, 2 to EDG now as they make their way back to base.
And I mean, it's not necessarily exciting League of Legends, right? But I think this is the way that you should be able to play against opponents that are below you. This is the first seed versus the third seed, and this is a substitute jungler. So Direwolf can't really push the tempo because the person that would normally do that is Shurnfire. He's the person that likes to play aggressive. He calls it animal instincts, likes to get in your face.
Heck yeah.
And I think that, you know, EDG have just respected that. They've read it. They've said, this is a team with nothing to lose. Let's not give them the early game leads they need to be able to push that tempo ahead. So I think this shows some maturity in the lineup. And you got to remember, this is the youngest EDG has ever been. This isn't Koro, this isn't Pawn, this isn't Def. This isn't iBoy, Scout, as well as Ray. Much younger than their counterparts. And they have kind of just dragged them everywhere, starved them out of resources, taken away camps, frustrated the Wolfpack lineup. And they wouldn't like that Rift. I know this team pretty well. They don't like being dragged around Summoner's Rift all that much.
Seems like they're going to put the finishing touches on soon from the side of EDG.
Well, all those items we were talking about have now just been hit. You know, Death Cap is there, not all that much magic resistance when you go down the line. Couple of QSSs. You know, Banshee's Veil there. iBoy going to be very safe. Level 16 nearly there, so they're one more time. They're just looking for the force.
How many can he draw? 3, 4 members currently up to that top side. As you're going to see BioPanther in base trying to protect. Realm Warp to the mid lane as well. Comes in Scout, and he'll be hitting up the turret with a few minions. Nicely done by him and joined by Meiko and iBoy. BioPanther's doing everything he can inside the base, but they do lose another inhibitor turret.
Yeah, exactly right. And I mean, kill for 2 turrets as well as your base being broken. Probably not the trade they're looking for, but hey, at least they're trying to be proactive. At least they're trying to force the issue. And EDG just sticking to the game plan, saying, unfortunately, Ray, for this one, you fall down. We're not going to try and save you. We're not doing anything stupid. This is an important game for us. We need that tier 1 seed. We've already talked about this relative strength of the other tier 1s. You do not want to slip to second in this group. So EDG just doing the right thing, giving them the respect and closing it out.
Pings. Look, EDG says mid. Let us go down mid, and they ping the Nexus and the middle inhibitor.
You kind of hope that this does end in a team fight. You kind of do hope that they give the Direwolves that one bang to see if they can come back in. Detonation Focus Me were kind enough to give it to Cloud9, and Cloud9 did take the game back. Yeah. Even though they had themselves the Elder Drake as well as a Baron buff at the same time.
Maybe we'll have to wait. There's always that ominous choke point in each set of the inhibitor to the base.
He's just burnt teleport to get away because he thought he was being ganked. They're playing so respectfully, Rick.
I think that is a very huge point to make, that they are playing that respectfully in usually a game where you would see scouts say, oh, come up here, come up here, come up here. We can make this fight work eventually, or I'll run him out.
Against the best teams in the LPL, Scout will take 1v2.
Yes.
Against the top seed of Oceania, And I think this is just, oh, here's a death rush. Let's go.
Here's what you wanted.
Let's go, baby.
The bushwhack. Will they go? Meiko's putting that sweeper down towards the bot. Oh, you're such a bait. You know he's a bait. Fly out there, just casting him back and forth. Nobody's going to go after a king like that.
I think you go to Baron. You sack it. It's up in 7 seconds. Just try and bring him to Baron. Ah, oh, it's so frustrating.
Ryze brought it in the fight there as well. EDG would have been able to walk away. There wasn't enough gap closed for Direwolves. You could have said maybe the Ornn starts that off, but the follow-up gives EDG enough time. Scout's low. Glacial Fissure, not too much used to take him down here. All summoners are still up unless they were used before, which means you'll get those flashes back quite soon for Direwolves, and they have a slight bit of room to work with here, while still doing
Here goes iBoy.
A little repair. Killer instinct from iBoy. Cupcake throws down the shield to try and stop any damage. King, beautiful damage onto Clearlove as he gets himself safe. It's going to be an apprehend by Ray to stop the damage for now as Cupcake. He can't help the team anymore, but EDG has to also disperse as Direwolves is coming out of their base.
The 2 damage dealers died, but unfortunately without Triple, without BioPanther there, they can't continue the fight. They will take down King. That means that there is going to be no Baron attempt. But Summoner Spell's now out of iBoy, out of Scout. Scout's just in no man's land. Look at where the rest of the team is right now around the Baron buff. He gets caught with his pants down, Riv, and he tries to run away, tries to head for the jungle, but it is not his friend. But this is kind of where they maybe need to slow down, you know. iBoy flies in here, thinks they are separated, thinks that he can get the winning team fight, but gets tagged up, flashes into a wall. Not what you want to see, but the early rotate coming out. No teleport used, no wards available for BioPanther to be able to make it there. And he's just burning down. Flashes on by Clearlove and Meiko, and they take him out. If that wasn't the case, that could have been a Baron Riv. That could have been this game back, not even, but on okay footing. But it's not going to be the case. EDG maintain their lead.
Still surprised to see EDG kind of making those missteps all the way across the map, knowing that's their most vulnerable time when they don't have any pressure on those waves. Ray had already been moving off of bot side, so it was free fight for Direwolves. 20 seconds onto Ocean. Baron is up. 32 minutes into the game, only 6-4 in a game we thought there would be blood, turning the river red in this game. 8-3 in turrets. That means EDG is only steps away from taking the game as Direwolves holds on.
And here we go. This is what we like to see. Get 5 members towards the Baron pit. You got mid lane priority. Throw the Hail Mary. Do not go down without a fight. Sure, Ray's going to push your bottom lane, but with Baron powered recalls, you can get back. He's going to have to teleport here, I think. They're looking for it.
Step back, looking for the end zone on this one. 3,500 onto Baron, a 50-50 smite. Clearlove does not have flash to get in, but he can get the distance. Ornn stops 3, just short of Baron. That's going to be Cupcake going down. Meiko's low, but he's got the ultimate on his Clearlove. Now gets himself to safety. A 3-man pulverize from Meiko. And Ray is doing work in the base. Meiko holds everybody in place as Ray is going to be the sole winner. The inhibitor comes up. It's not the first time this world a team has been thwarted on the final play. That's a double kill for iBoy. They get BioPanther as well with the Void Seeker, and it's going to be all Ray in the base. It's going to be all right for EDG. They're going to make themselves 2-0 in the play-ins. Ray is having a bit of fun with his food, and EDG take the win.
So close, yet so far. EDG show their class. Direwolves have a laugh. They would be happy that they stayed in that game until the very end. But EDG, they just put the screws in. They slowed down the tempo. They allowed the Darius to do his job and ultimately come up with the victory. What could have been on a different day, or what could have been?
Well, this was the all-over portion of the documentary instead of the down-under, unfortunately, this time around for you, Spawn. But EDG showing that it doesn't, again, have to be a tank for Ray. He can come out on these damage dealers. Clearlove still in the jungle with Haro sitting back, downloading all these teams. EDG's looking scary here.
This isn't the first time we've seen that out of an LPL team either. You've got to remember that Castle was playing so many of the games at MSI before MLXG came in, really did come home with the dunk. So I think that that jungle substitute is such a useful tool in modern day League of Legends. The 6-man rosters really are showing kind of what they're able to add to the strategic depth. And once again, you just got to applaud EDG for the respect that they gave the Direwolves, for the ability to slow play the game. One mistake got a little bit ugly there and did maybe lend itself towards a little bit more 50-50. But with Ray in that bottom lane, it was always just going to be a matter of time. But I mean, as an Oceanic fan, you got to say, you know, congratulations to the rookie in UDYSOF. He came in today without winning a competitive series. Now he can brag that he's picked up a Worlds victory as well as played a game versus Clearlove. That's a lot to kick off your bucket list. And next game, we are going to see Schönfire return to that starting lineup.
It's going to be awesome. We do have one more game to go on the day, and to get a breakdown on that game, let's send it back over to the State Farm analyst desk.
Thank you very much. Congratulations to EDG, but can I just say, all three of us were watching that Baron thinking that the Direwolves had it, and I do want to look at it again because I feel come on, if someone kept hitting the Baron, they Ornn ulted, and someone stunned their jungler, they take that Baron and maybe they take that fight. Or am I wrong? Am I rose-tinted Australian glasses?
No, I think what you're saying is right. You see that they actually win the fight afterwards, and so for the most part, if you have Baron-empowered recalls here, you can maybe actually get out. Maybe you start leaking the Lucian. I mean, it's still going to be very, very dicey. You see the fact Ray actually has to go back and start hitting the inhib. So if you actually have Baron-empowered recalls as iBoy starts cleaning up, like obviously communication completely broke down there, but you get the extra damage from the Baron. Then you cleanly turn on the fight instead of having your Trundle stuck in the
Maybe it's
pit.
a lot to ask. I don't know.
At the end of the day, with their rookie jungler in there, it was sad that he was the only guy like with the right idea, the substitute, who's like, shouldn't we be on the Baron guys? And the rest of the team being the one turning off, leaving him alone.
Oof.
It's hard. It's one of those moments where definitely you put yourself in a really like a weird position, because even though, like, let's say the Baron wasn't stolen. In a nice world where it wasn't stolen, they get Baron. Now they got to run away. Darius is still just hitting your Nexus. Like, obviously, he has to go back to the inhibitor. But the job has been done. Congratulations. Yeah, sure, you got yourself a Baron buff, but I feel like that's a little bit too...
it was close. Like,
no, it was the only thing they had to get back in the game, though.
Well, so, like, to be fair to them, like, I don't want them going into, like, another controlled situation versus EDG with two inhibitors down kind of already and split push pressure. So I like the force.
Yeah.
You just had to finish the Baron and then take the fight afterwards.
That's right.
Because they did trade some kills back and forth.
Yeah, we got to calm down there a little bit. Sorry, I got a bit excited about it.
You threw a chair.
Yeah.
I didn't. That wasn't on camera.
I didn't know you had that strength in you.
I did.
I
picked it up.
Because it's not on camera, we can exaggerate. She picked it up and threw it across the room. And
I gave it a gentle love tap, and it went over the edge of the stage. But hey, I was passionate about the game. That's just me. Anyway, who was also passionate is a Scout in this one. He picks up his second MasterCard player of the game, and I think we talk a lot about the ending of the game, but we have to also admit that EDG was in control for a long, long time, and that Scout had another wonderful performance.
Yeah, you know, for a double-edged sword, he gets you the performance. Like, the reason why the early game was so strong, and sure it was a slower paced game, which is why you get to see a lot more of this. Mid lane control pushes that out for him, goes top lane, sure Triple is following, but he follows too late because he didn't have an idea where Scout was. He was hiding in fog for oftentimes, had a great control ward, so it was either he was going to top side, or he had a Skarner help him getting kills mid lane.
Yeah, he was doing what a Ryze is supposed to do, I feel like.
Yep.
Very, very well.
I mean, sometimes it can be tough too, especially against the Syndra, to be able to get all the priority you need, but you saw him comboing very well together with both side laners as well as his jungler, so it wasn't just like a 1v9 running around killing people, but actually setting up plays and executing on them.
Follow-up question is, in comparison to how hard EDG crushed Infinity earlier, this was a very different game. What do you think of the approach?
I think a lot of it actually came down to the fact that Direwolves looked okay. They forced a number of plays that, you know, EDG got out of, but that easily could have been kills. There was a time where Meiko lived with like 1 HP. One more auto attack would have killed him in the bot lane and maybe turned things around. They just never actually found those because EDG is too good.
Yeah, a good point is just their laning phase. They didn't make any crucial errors like we saw out of Cotopaco as well. So I felt like immediately out of the laning phase, one point to mention is that Direwolves was understanding that they were just taking a step back frequently. EDG were happy to play that game, a little bit too happy. There were times where you have Ryze and Skarner. That one play that was made, congratulations, that was great.
Yeah.
But I thought there was more opportunity that the EDG wasn't taking. Exactly.
Okay, yeah, we'll have to track that. Another replay I want to look at is the Baron fight for EDG. So even though it was slow, this was one of the deciding ones, I guess, because they try to get out. And Mark, you actually wanted to take a second look at this Ryze interaction.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty cool thing you can do with Ryze ults. When you position them on top of walls, people can end up on other sides of them, surprisingly, and that was the mechanic they used to basically win the game.
Yes.
This is what broke it open in their favor. They're going to get a Baron buff off the back of this triple kill that goes in their favor, and it all has to do with how Ray positions. So he actually, if you watch carefully, intentionally walks as far bottom left as he can, so that way when the Ryze ult comes in, he ends up over the wall there, so he's in a position to follow wherever he flashes. If King wanted to flash the wall, he's already on top of him. If he flashes left, you pull him, and if he flashes right, that's where the rest of your team is. So really, really smart by Ray to know what was going to happen there, and then that's what allowed them to kind of get that fight.
Yeah, smart. And in general, I think, you know, player of the game goes to Scout and whatnot, but Ray on this Darius was very impressive as well.
Yeah, I think he was controlling the pace because it started with Ryze, but it really did end with the Darius pick because there is no way that BioPanther was going to be able to answer him on side lane. So oftentimes they were always on a time limit, sending BioPanther topside. If it took too long, then unfortunately those death bushes didn't mean too much.
Does that make you excited as the LPL expert that like Ray played something that was kind of carryish and he's not just on like tank Scion duty anymore?
Look, I'm a little bit excited. There's just those moments where I was like, I thought we solved this scout. I thought we solved it about him going too far forward. And then iBoy just jumping in immediately
Yeah, that one was
What is happening?
Yeah.
I said, calm down. I mean, obviously after the first win, they thought they can just go straight for it, and that's fine.
I don't know. I think they were pretty composed for how hard they smashed in that first game. I think, hey, all in all 2-0, and all in all, we're relatively positive about the Direwolves as well. I think this could become very, very interesting. But we'll see in a couple of days. Well, our day 2 day, though, it concludes with G2 and Ascension looking to end the day with a win. See who can step up in Game 6 when we return.
And now it's going to be a lot of tanking from Ray. It doesn't look like he's going to make it out of this one good. Yes, he gets the kill in and the heal.
Clearlove looking for the gank.
Flash and hit. Ooh, flash for flash. He says, I was just waiting. Does the butt turn, too.
20-odd kills to come through in a game at a minimum.
Whoa, there's some huge knockup coming in from the Ornn and Glacial Fissure, and it is an absolute wash as EDG starts to take down the rest of Direwolves.
Yeah.
They have Kai'Sa, remember. Kai'Sa can ult you.
I'm walking off, Beauty.
That's a double kill for iBoy. They get BioPanther as well with the Void Seeker, and it's going to be all Ray in the base. It's going to be all right for EDG.